Welcome back to another Flutter tutorial. In today's episode, let's learn how to work with expanded widget. In the last video, we learned about how to work with SizedBox widget. You learned you can use SizedBox widget when you need to add space among items in a list of widgets inside of a row or a column. And by the end of that video, we also learned if you have more items inside of a column or a row than you have space for it, you will get an exception. We will get this pattern of exception right here. This is happening because the list of items is overflowing the available space. So this is one problem you will get frequently using columns and rows, because you will try to place more items than you have space for it. So to solve this problem, you have basically two approaches. The first approach is to use list view widget, which you've been learning as we move forward in this tutorial series. List view widgets have the ability to scroll, so all the widgets they are not visible for the user. When the user scrolls, those widgets will be recycled and redrawn so the user can see them. But obviously we don't have those options for row widgets and column widgets. So another approach is to use expanded widget. Expanded widget allows you to wrap a widget inside of a column on a row, and this widget will become flexible. So if you have more space inside of a column or a row, this widget will grow and take the available space. But if you don't have enough space, you can make this widget shrink. As you learn, row and column widget follow CSS Flexbox design system, so we only can lay out items inside of one direction. And expanded widget think as the properties for flex shrink and flex grow. You can wrap your widget with this, and this will make it flexed, and you can adjust your widget inside of the available space. So let's say for this video, let's say we want to wrap all the container widget with expanded widget. So come right here, click on the container widget, and then click on the yellow bolt and select the option wrap with expanded. This container now becomes a child of this expanded widget. Let's do the same thing for remaining two containers. Wrap with expanded, wrap with expanded. Save everything, and you will see we don't have now this exception because we are making all this container flexible to adjust in this space for the row. Another way you can get the exception is by wrapping rows in columns or columns with columns, rows with rows. This will happen because both the outer row or the inner row will try to be as big as possible. So one solution is to wrap with expanded, so the inner row will grow as much as possible but won't overflow the outer container or outer row. Another cool thing about expanded widget is that now we have the ability to control how much space each item wrapped with expanded widget will take. So for that, we'll create a new stateless widget. But before we do that, let me show you one more thing. When you wrap all the items with expanded widget, if you try to come right here and play with main axis alignment, you will see right here we don't have any more control over how to place all the items. This is because expanded widget by default will take all the available space. In this case, we are using 3 expandable widgets, so all of them will take the same amount of space. Let's create now a new widget. Let's go inside of this widget folder, create a new file. Let's name it expanded underscore column underscore widget dot enter stl and select option stateless widget. Start typing expanded and you will get this name right here. Save everything. Now instead of returning this placeholder, let's return now a column widget. Then call the children's property, and inside of this list, let's say we want to add 3 containers. So each container will have the same width and height. So let's say 200 pixels for the width and 200 pixels for the height, but we'll give them different colors for the background. So call the colors dot, let's say amber for this one, give it a comma, copy and paste it 2 more times. Save everything, copy this name of this class. Let's go to home.dart And now replace this raw widget. Make sure you import this class, save everything, and now let's change the color for each container. So this one, let's use the blue color, and for the last one, let's use the brown color. Save everything. As you can see, by default, because we specify the same width and height, they all take the same amount of space, so they all have the same size. So if you wrap the first one with expanded widget, save, you will see now that the first container is bigger. Like I said, the expandable widget will take all the available space inside this column. But if you wrap, let's say, the third one also with the expanded widget, this will take the same amount of space as the first one. This is because if you hover over the expanded widget, we'll have this flex property. This will determine how much space each expanded widget can take. As you can see, by default, it's a value of 1, so it takes an int as an argument, and by default the value is 1. So if you come right here and say, let's say flex now, it's 2. You can see now that the first container is bigger than the last one. So if you give it flex with value of 2, they will take the same amount of space because they have the same number. So let's say now the bottom one is 3. And this is how you can play around with items inside of your column and your row. You can specify the flex property, and this will dictate how much space this widget will take and related to the siblings inside of this list. So the same thing if you change to a row widget, you have the same behavior. Now it's on the horizontal instead of from the vertical. So now that we have mastered expanded widget, we can use expanded widget to give a ratio of proportions inside of a column on a row widget. So we can use them to create our UI. So let's create a simple UI. Let's change to be a column again. And now let's remove this middle space container. Save. Let's make the top container bigger than the bottom. So let's say flex will be 3 and this one will be 2. Save it. Let's use now the properties. Let's use the cross alignment to make our container expand and fill the horizontal space. Let's use the stretch value. Save. And now let's add a child property. Will be a column widget. And here let's call the children. And inside of the children, let's say we want to add a text widget first. Let's call this my Flutter app. Give it a comma, and now let's call the icon widget, and here let's specify our icon. We can use the icons class. Let's use the person widget. Save everything. Let's align now these items inside of your column widget using the main axis alignment. Let's use main axis alignment class dot. Let's make it center. Save. And let's do the same thing for the bottom container. Let's call the child property, and this also will be a column. Here let's call the children property, and now let's call the fill bottom. Don't worry about buttons for now. As we move forward, we'll learn how to work with buttons, and we'll learn all the available buttons in Flutter that you can use inside of your project. So right here you specify a text, and this will be get started. Give it a comma. Let's now organize everything. Just select the option format document. Now let's copy this fill button and place it again to add another button. And now for the text, let's use the skip. Now let's make this button responsive. You learned in this last video about SizedBox widget. If you wrap it with this SizedBox widget and then you specify the width to be double dot infinity, This will make your bottom grow, and then you can wrap with a container to add a margin. So this will be agiliset.symmetric, and then you can use horizontal property with a value of 16.0. Let's do the same thing for the other bottom. Wrap with SizedBox widget. Copy this property for the width. Wrap with a container. And then let's copy this margin property for the container. Save everything. Now let's align all the items inside of this column using the main axis alignment dot center. Save everything, and now let's change the background color to be white for the outer container. Save, and then let's do the same thing, changing this first container right here to be white. This is how you can work with column widget. You can also have row widget if you want to add items on horizontal line, and use expanded to give it a ratio and create your design. So this is a very common pattern that you learn in Flutter. Don't worry about it for now. I just want to show you with expandable widget we can create our user interface and create your layout. So let's just improve it a little bit. You can also add, let's say, after this container right here, give it a comma right here. Let's do some indentation first. Come right here, format your document, save everything. So let's say I want to add another text right here after this SizedBox container. Let's say we want to add a note like become a member to get exclusive content. Save everything. If you want to add a space without using SizedBox widget, Flutter have another widget that you can use, which is the spacer widget. This will also take a flex property, the same as we use with this expandable widget. So let's say this will take the flex property and the value will be 1. Give it a comma right here to remove this error. Save, and you can see right here the text is now at the bottom of your screen. So Flutter has another widget that we can use, which is a very useful widget, which is the safe area widget. This will prevent for device like iOS, where we have this curve right here. So it will place the content in a safe area. So come right here, select the option wrap with the widget, and here let's call the safe area. Save it, and now you can see right here we have a little bit of space. You can use inside of this scaffolding called the background color property, and here you specify the colors. Class, let's use the white color. And if you want to remove this title and the toolbar, you can just come right here and comment all these properties right here for the Apple bar. Save, and now you have your user interface. You can also do something about this card widget right here. This we did it in the video about icon widget. So come right here in the icon widget and just select the option to remove this widget. Save everything, and here you have a very basic user interface. So don't worry about user interface for now or the layout. We'll have a video all about layouts that will learn how to create more advanced layout. So this is it for this video. If you find this video useful, give it a like and subscribe for more Flutter videos. One way you can support our channel is by liking our video and subscribe to our channel to help our channel grow. This is it. In the next video, we'll learn about Flex widget. See you on the next one.